Appreciate everybody coming back here with us. Thank you so much. Hey, Xander, guess what? By the way, I want to get to Young Truth. Dan, just speaking the honest truth. Salute, big dog. Thank you so much. Hey, listen, you know what we're going to do today because of the breaking news? We're not putting Jason Cole on at the bottom of the hour. We're going to run this thing for 3 hours, okay? I don't think we need Jason, okay? I'd rather hear from everyone here. Is that fair, guys? Ball, good afternoon to you. What do you think, Xander? You think that's cool? I think we roll with this here. And in my opinion, I want to hear from you guys. I'd rather have you guys on right now than a national guy talking about the Lions. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to sit here together and we're going to sit here and talk about this. And I want to throw something else at you here. By the way, I want to reset here. 5 days ago, we posted on Dan Sileo Show. By the way, I hope you follow me there at Dan Sileo Show. We said that the Philadelphia Eagles were in contact with Ndamukong Suh's folks and that they were in the process of trying to sign him. Now, every time I post something on there, everyone is always under the notion that that means that that team is going to automatically sign him. You do understand that the majority of the time, teams are bidding. That's why when I said Matthew Stafford was having conversation with the 49ers, we found out that to be true. But at the time, you know what 49er fans say? Sileo said Stafford was. I never say that unless I have absolute conviction. Okay? I never say, you never hear me say, the Philadelphia Eagles are signing Ndamukong Suh because I know that there's going to be a bidding war. And there was. They outbid the Chargers, Bills, and Cowboys. And they land him. Just admit Jason Cole bailed on you, Sills. It's for you to believe, Leo. I don't need guests. You see, Leo, the difference with my show and other shows, I don't need guests. I want to have some guests. I don't need people on my program. I never have. As a matter of fact, sometimes even when I put some of the biggest guests on, my wife will send me a text going, boring. You have no idea. Never have. Brian, never have. Sensational sign. May I add something? I don't want to do this. Okay? I don't want to do this. I don't want to pollute what's happened today. But may I ask you something here? What would Howie Roseman's grade be so far this year to this point on November 17th? As general manager of your football team, what would you give Howie? A plus? A? Okay. Let's add the other part of this in. A plus. The rest is on the players and coaches. That's Xander. Let me ask you this. 2023 NFL draft. Jordan Davis's grade is what? C plus? A? B? What would you give Jordan Davis so far? He still has time to improve or go the other way. A? B? What would you give Jordan Davis so far for the 13th pick? Rage says this. Hey, we see how important he is to the run game. Davis, B-. Undetermined. B plus, A minus. That's a tough one for me. I'd say B plus. Cam Jurgens. By the way, this goes in. We're going to talk about the free agents too here in a minute. This is not going to be I'm talking about the entire year for Howie. Cam Jurgens. B. Can't say A because he doesn't play. Incomplete. You could probably say that. I would say more that. Incomplete. You don't know how he's going to play. You saw him in the preseason a little bit. Okay? What would you give Nakobe Dean? Incomplete? Would you give him another incomplete? So you got one player who took a 13, the other two at 51 and 83. Cam Jurgens and Nakobe Dean are incomplete. So you got one player that's contributed. K-Ron Johnson. This tight end kid's going to get some playing time. He's going to get it. Hey, Grant is going to get an opportunity to show if he can play, isn't he? Pretty good. He's going to get a chance. That's pretty good, man. Right? So the 2022 NFL draft, if you're really looking at it, they've had very little impact. Now, I'm not taking away from Jordan Davis's impact against the run because we're feeling it and seeing it. So that's got to mean something. That's why he gets a B. But as an overall class, Howie hasn't made any headway with this draft class in any way. There's been very little contributing. I'm not taking Jordan Davis's impact on the run defense away at all. I agree. I completely agree with you. Okay? He's gambling, is my point here, on free agents coming in and playing. Hassan Reddick. If I were truthfully going to give Hassan Reddick a grade, I think it's a B plus. Because he was really brought in to do one thing. What was that? Rush the passer. And he's done that. He's not great at it. But he's good at it. Okay? He's good. He's good at it. I wouldn't go like this. That's an edge rusher that I want on my team for the next 3 years. Because he's a limited player. He's a very limited player. He can't play the run. He's not a very good tackler. And he's not good in coverage. He rushes the passer, and he's undersized. So that's not somebody to build your edge rushing around. I'm not saying that he sucks at all. I'm not saying that. Kaiser White, the reason you're seeing Kaiser White and TJ Edwards not playing very well over the last couple weeks is because your DTs are getting murdered on the run. And it's affecting the entire integrity of the defense. They can't fill gaps. Their lane integrity is being lost because the DTs are getting blown off the ball. By the way, Fletcher Cox, I'll say this to you again. See, I think the true problem with this whole scheme that Gannon has, he never sold it to Fletcher good enough. He never truly sold it. Never sold it to him. They just said, you're going to do this. Fletcher went, shit. Two-gap and fool. And they try to tell you that, well, you're going to play more of an edge. It's kind of like a cheat one technique. And you're like, no, it's not. You're asking me to hold up guards so linebackers can scrape. Nobody wants that job, man. You want to be a penetrating defensive tackle that makes plays, gets in the backfield, gets their name on the highlight reels on ESPN. You want to get all the girls, too, when you go to the bars. Everyone knows who you are. You don't want to be a slug nose guard. That's the worst position a defensive lineman could play is nose guard. It's terrible. The only reason Vince Wilfork got any kind of kudos because they won 3 Super Bowls in New England. Nobody wants to play that position. It's a shitbag position. You want to play a 3 technique, you want to play 1 gap, and you want to get up the field. And to me, you've got to have great corners to do that. What makes this really uncool with Gannon, you have the corners to do it. He's afraid. And now when you add Suh to the mix, this guy is a defensive coordinator who coordinates on the side of fear. I don't want to get beat deep. I don't want to give up plus yardage. I don't want to give up. Dog, when you have that loser mentality, you're always going to be playing behind the sticks when it comes to playing against the run. Because if you don't buy into your guys, they're not going to buy into your scheme. Do you understand what I just said? Do you understand what I just said to you? If the players don't buy in and they don't buy into your scheme, you're never, ever going to get players to play for you. When you don't believe in your players, the players will never buy into your scheme. That's exactly what's happening in Philly on the D-line. They never bought in because Gannon never bought into them. And now he's surrendering. I need help. Because the guys, wait a minute. Can I ask you a question? I thought he didn't have the talent last year either. Remember when everyone came on this program and said this? Hey, Gannon, and everyone made excuses for him when they said, well, he just didn't have the personnel a year ago. Well, what's your excuse now? What could you possibly have as an excuse? You see, it's not an excuse, guys. Guys, have you ever worked for people that buy into you, that believe in you, that want you to succeed? You know it. You feel it. You gravitate to it. Gannon doesn't have personal. You know who Gannon kind of reminds me of? Belichick. When Belichick had to go back to school with Bill Parcells. Here's a great lesson. See, I don't think Jonathan Gannon's a player's coach. I think Sirianni is. I think when they got bitching problems, they go to Nick. And then Nick goes to Gannon. That's how I think the dynamic works. Because Nick is more of a player's coach, right? Probably go to Tracy a little bit. Then they all go to Nick. And then Gannon's he's not a people guy yet. He's not a people guy. Here's a great example. Parcells had Lawrence Taylor getting ready for a game. And they're getting ready to go on the field. And Belichick goes like this to Parcells. I just want you to know, LT was late 5 minutes to a meeting. And, I just want you to know he was late. We had to wait. You know what Parcells said to him? Why'd you start the meeting? He goes, okay, I mean, you don't single guys like that out, guy. You singled the turds out. Jimmy Johnson always told us this. Troy Aikman can fall asleep. You can't. You can't. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin can fall asleep in meetings. You can't. Parcells looked at Belichick and went like this. Why'd you start the meeting? Gannon doesn't believe in his players. Hence, it's why the players don't buy the system. That's the disconnect. It's plain for anybody to see. It's plain. And so you've got a coordinator who, by the way, they probably, when they are talking to him, you know what? I'll say this about Gannon. When Jonathan Gannon gets in an interview process, he's probably got really great ideas on how to play defense and the fundamentals on how to play it. See, he's got all the formations. He's got all the tendencies. I've been in an interview process. Okay, I was in the interview process when John Gruden was hired by the Raiders, and I sat in the back and I watched John Gruden get drilled by Al Davis. I was in that building. I was in that building with Ken Herrick, and I was in that room when John Gruden came up there and he had one play, and John Gruden had 17 different plays of variation off of one play, and he's just sitting there. Al Davis had to stop him. Okay, I get it. I get it. Okay? You just watch this. I'm sitting there going, Jesus Christ. It's like listening to Lombardi talk about the Packers sweep. John Madden told me years ago, you know, one of the great relationships, and somebody asked, how do you know all these? I mean, it's just being around them. John Madden told me he went to a seminar with Lombardi. This one play, he talked 6 hours on. Took a break, came back, and talked another 6 hours. Madden goes like this. See, I don't know shit about coaching. Do you know, and get this goes in again, and I'm giving you reference points here. Do you know when Lombardi took over in 1959 the Packers, there were 12 Hall of Famers on it, and they won one game. When Lombardi took over, they would win 5 titles in 9 years. Same group. What's the difference? Motivating. Belief. Players buying in. You can kick a guy's ass all you want, but if that player thinks you're just screaming at him, it's counterproductive. But if that player knows you're coming from a place of love, that player will go through walls for you. He'll run through a mountain. He'll do things he's never done before in his life. Jonathan Gannon does not do that. Does not do that. Look at Gannon waving the white flag. Jonathan Gannon, if this is one indictment on failure for your defensive coach and your DC, is that they had to bring in 2 new guys because he couldn't figure it out. Must be the players, not me. Dude, F you. F you. You're in this with us, or are you not? F you. Telling me, well, it ain't me, it's the players. I need 2 new guys. That's the first thing I thought of. So they signed Suh because the DC can't figure it out. This is why your staff right now scares me. Doug Peterson, guys, let me give you a lesson that you know. And I want you to take this as much as you can. When you lost Wentz, Frank Reich, Doug Peterson figured it out. They figured it out with the guys they had in the room. When they lost O-linemen, Jeff Stoutland, Doug, Frank figured it out. Are you comfortable with this coaching staff that they're going to figure this out? Or are they going to blame the players? This is where Howie starts getting his ass rubbed in the wrong way. I brought these dudes in for you. Don't tell me. This is your job to coach those guys up. You see, Howie's jaded because he saw Frank. I'd bring Frank's ass in right now as a consultant. I wouldn't even wait. Frank, please come in. Be a consultant to the head coach. Help us go down this stretch ride. Okay? Those guys lost. Did you guys, hey, by the way, look at the players you're losing now. You think Frank and Doug would figure out how to compensate for the loss of Dallas Goedert? For banged up A.J. Brown? You think you guys, do you feel comfortable that those guys would have figured it out? I do. You think these training wheel coaches are going to figure it out? Or you think they're going to wear T-shirts and shit and talk about planting flowers again, saying everything's going great? And all of a sudden you got a coach going like this. Well, shit, it must be the players. It ain't my system because we need 2 new D. They got 2 days in a row. They signed 2 DTs. Okay, Jonathan. That coaching staff figured it out. Doug Peterson, Frank Reich, Wentz, Nick Foles, the leadership. They all figured it out. You think they're... Am I reading this wrong? Guys, you think I'm reading it wrong? Tell me. I'd be interested if you think I'm reading this wrong. So Jonathan Gannon can't figure it out, so they bring him 2 new DTs. Because get this, guys, if Howie thought that this was going to be a problem with the way that he has worked this year, wouldn't he have done this in the offseason? Wouldn't he have signed Suh in the offseason, bring him in? Your problem is coaching. Now look, again, it's communication too. Man, to sit there and tell me for 2 years in a row now, last year you guys tried telling me this. So he doesn't have the people. Well, he has them. Now he can't do it again. And then when you hear dummy analyst saying, well, it's Jonathan Gannon guy. He's as creative as you. I know your ears bleed like mine. Hey, I don't really use this a lot, but that defense is playing as good as it is in spite of that coach. In spite of that coach. How many defensive coordinators have you ever seen that come from a position of fear? Well, I'm afraid of getting beat plus 25. What? They get paid too, Jonathan. This is the NFL. Players make plays. Terry McLaurin makes plays on Darius Slay. Slay shuts down Justin Jefferson. It's called the NFL. I mean, right? Hey, the Washington Commanders, do they get paid too? Yeah, well, they're a pro team too. They get paid too. Jonathan Gannon's ego is so bad that he really believes that his system, he doesn't adjust. His second halves stink. His run, you know why his run, can I tell you another reason his run defense sucks? He's a DB coach. What would he possibly know about stopping the run? I mean, right? Is there any coincidence that his secondary second in the league? So is he a good position coach? Probably. Is there any coincidence that his D-line is 20th against the run? Probably not. Strength. I am sitting here being as non-entertaining as I possibly can be because I'm trying to be as honest as I possibly can today. and I'm talking to you like I would be a player in that locker room, I would be a little bit even more suspect about him. Happy what my organization is doing, but you got to remember, this guy puts that defense in positions to lose, not win. Well, Sills, they give up the least amount of points. They don't really give a lot of points up. I told you this before. I think it's fool's gold because you know why? You haven't really taken on high-powered offenses this year. In turn, you haven't been tested on big scoring offenses. You have not. You've taken on the Tyler Heineke's. Hey, the job that they did against Minnesota looks fabulous. But what was the key component to that? Stopping Jefferson. I think it knocked Minnesota on their heels when they shut him down like that. But you know what? I think Minnesota, can I tell you this? I'm not saying, please, don't take this for what I said here as they're better than you. But what I do think is Minnesota got better from that loss. You think the Eagles have? Especially defensively. Since that win against Minnesota, have you gotten better? On defense, you've gotten worse. Minnesota's gotten better. Minnesota's continuing to get, again, I'm not saying that Minnesota's better than you. They've gotten better, though. Okay? Like I said, I want you to hear me clearly. I'm not saying Minnesota's better than you, but they've gotten better since the loss. You, on the other hand, have not. Last 5 weeks, you're giving up 130 yards rushing as an average against your defense. That's not getting better. One more time. I didn't say Minnesota's better. They've improved more. We got the Cowboys this weekend. I don't think we beat a Dallas team if we didn't get better. You think your run defense has gotten better? 7007? Your run defense has gotten worse since that game. Now, you're calling in for help. Shakur goes 4-1. Keep the faith, my friend. You'll lose 3 more. The signings are great. You're just moving the goalpost. That's what champions do, Jay. You move the goalpost when you're 500. But when you're a championship team, that goalpost moves because the team moves it. The team has moved the goalpost. I'm not doing anything. I didn't sign Sue. I'm not 8-1. They have. That's called moving the goalpost, my friend. What, you think you have the same expectations you did at the beginning of the year when people thought you'd be decent? And all of a sudden, when you're 8-1, the goalpost doesn't change? So Tom Brady's goalpost doesn't change when he's a 6th rounder and turns out to be a 7-time Super Bowl champion. You don't think his goalpost has changed every time he steps on the field, what people are expecting from him or Mahomes? Does the goalpost change for them? It changes game-wise for them. Your goalpost, it's a good thing that it changes. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. That means you're improving. I love when people say that. Sills, you move the goalpost. No, I haven't done anything. The Eagles have done it. Jalen's done it. He's moved the goalpost. Maniac. I don't think the Cowboys are going to beat Dalvin Cook. I wouldn't throw the ball. I wouldn't use I'd use Justin Jefferson in that game against the Cowboys as a decoy. I'd run Dalvin. Why in the world would you get? But see, here's Dallas out coaching themselves and out thinking themselves because Kellen Moore listens to the owner. I would say this to you. Okay? I would say this. Why in the world would I throw the ball against a team that's given up 400 some odd yards in the last 2 weeks? Why would I do that? Why would I have 3 and outs? I'm going to run Dalvin Cook as much as I possibly can. As much as I can. They won't stop him. They can't stop him. Super Bowl or bust. Jonathan Gannon is the only thing in your way. Injuries too. Injuries too. Can you imagine that? Injuries and your coaching staff. I'll say this to you. I heard the guys on Sports Take saying this. So you think that's just an anomaly, what happened against Washington? I don't. Because it's been a 5-week issue, stopping the run. The problem that you had, though, is that Ron Rivera, the second time through, had answers for everything you did because you didn't adjust. The coaching staff has to also improve. Ron Rivera outcoached them, that entire coaching staff, the Washington Commanders, with Scott Turner, Jack Del Rio, and Ron Rivera outcoached you. Outcoached you. And the players outplayed you. You know, I could get the players sometimes, but one or the other, getting outcoached, bad decision, it was across the board. When you got off the bus, there wasn't a person on that team that played well. You know who the guy probably played the best was Jalen. It's probably Jalen who played the best. Is the NFL sometimes you get outplayed. Outplayed and outcoached in the same one? I don't know. I can't see how anyone can trust Gannon. We'll win because it's a superior roster. But on any given week, Gannon can just get totally outcoached. Go Birds. Absolutely. It's on display every single day. They didn't outcoach the Eagles. It took 4 turnovers. Okay, whatever. What about the 152 yards rushing on you got jammed on? What about Slade getting annihilated? What about Fletcher Cox getting blocked by tight ends? Effort, no adjustments. Owned. And like I said, nobody had a monster game against you. They just kicked your ass. You were favored by 11, got beat by 11. Congratulations. Hell of an effort. You got out-coached, out-efforted. It's in the rear view, though. I don't like doing that. Look at Michael. Yeah, you're right. You're the high one, my friend, if you saw that game any other way. Well, a couple turnovers here, a couple bad refs. ZK, thanks for stepping in. Appreciate it. I love guys who do that. Must be an excuse machine, dude. That won't happen again? I'm not thinking it will. Mike, I'm not thinking it will. You know what, Mike? I'm going to give them the benefit because they've played so well this year as a unit. I'm going to give them that. Okay? I am. Lachey said the Redskins just managed the clock well because they knew. Yeah, well, guess what? They were 3rd and short the entire game. That's how that thing played out. Jameson, again, it's going to cost you a playoff game. If I were him, I wouldn't show my head around Philly. If he does, there's only so many times you're going to look awful out there on defense before somebody goes, bro, it's you. Keep changing the players, man. How about the scheme? Daryl goes, Sills, what do you think of the Suh signing? Why not sign him? Do you think it's more about we've been saying it here. It is absolutely fantastic that they signed him. Suh and Joseph eat up enough space for our linebackers now. Absolutely, 85. Again, I think that that's a great sign. I think they've got the world's biggest defensive tackles I've ever seen. Okay? Slade did not get killed. Okay. No third down blitz. You're dead in the NFL. Jack, that team needs to blitz more on first and second down. 85's right. Suh brings a tenacity in there. He's going to bring an edge in there. He's going to bring a nastiness in there. By the way, you start pulling that bullshit on Ndamukong Suh, he may look Jonathan Gannon in the face and go, hey, look here, little guy. We got this. He's that kind of guy. Jim Schwartz said, when you talk about a guy like Ndamukong Suh, that guy don't mess around with anybody, man. That guy's not going to be put in a position of failure. He's not coming to Philly to lose. He handpicked you for a reason. He could have went to Dallas, Buffalo, LA Chargers. He could have went to any of those teams. He picked you. He's not going to allow some dude just out of kindergarten or just some guy out of the Don Shula School of Coaching, 101, to sit there and put shit schemes up on him and have him two-gap just to do it. That's not going to work for him. Once again, Leo, not knowing exactly anything about how a market works. He could have signed anywhere for the same money. Dallas has $7.5 million worth of cap space. They could have signed him and given him more than you did. Could have went to Buffalo. They got room. Didn't want to go there. He took the money and the winning. Very rarely you can do that. Most of the time you take the money, you have to go to a sorry-ass team. That's how the draft works. Best college players go to the shittiest teams. When you're a free agent like Suh, he knows there's a market. I'll sign for the same money, but I'm going to go to a place that's winning. He picked the Eagles. Handpicked them. Anybody want to talk about the Suh signing? I'll answer. But I want to ask you this. I think I just got another team. The Ravens did make a play for him. So now we're finding out this for Ndamukong Suh. Chargers, Bills, Cowboys, Ravens, Eagles, 5 teams that I know of right now made a play for him. Okay? Sills, why Suh picked the Eagles? Because they're going to get home field advantage. He's going to play one less playoff game. You're going to have a bye. You're going to win the East. And you're going to be 2 games away from going to the Super Bowl. Pretty simple. Less traveled road to get to where you want is in Philly. And the NFC is wide open for them to win it and take it. You got more speed bumps in the AFC with those quarterbacks over there. In the NFC, he doesn't have to be a pass rusher against the 49ers in the NFC title game. He just has to stop the run. If you're going to play anybody in the conference title game, I believe you're going to play either the Vikings again or you're going to play the 49ers. Steven goes, the AFC's open too. Yeah, but you don't have Josh Allen in the AFC, in the NFC. You don't have Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow in the NFC. You don't have any of those guys. Those guys can beat you on any given Sunday. Dak's not beating you. Kyler Murray's not beating you. Kirk Cousins is not coming to your place and beating you. It'd be the best quarterback you play. God forbid Brady gets the Bucs going. God forbid Brady gets the Bucs going. That's the guy I don't want to see. Everyone's like, well, we could beat him. Dude, don't. Why? Why would I want to play against Tom Brady when I could play against Kirk Cousins? Why would I want that? Well, it's a championship and it's metal. And shut up. Give me Cousins over Brady any day. But I want to play Tom Brady and get revenge. You think this is like Queensberry rules? I don't give a shit how I get to the Lombardi Trophy. Who cares? Who cares? Well, we have integrity here, Dan. I'd rather take on Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady than Kirk Cousins, or Tyler Heineke. Okay. Well, okay. There's a reason more people sit in the stands than are on the sidelines at a pro football game. Yeah, you keep with that mentality. Look at the NFC quarterbacks. I can't find any. Who? Geno Smith? Who? Rams are underwater right now. The Bucs have their head barely above water. What quarterback frightens you? Kirk Cousins? And who? Who? I sound like an owl sitting on a tree limb. Who? I would rather not play Brady too. Maniac. Brady in a 60-minute football game. I don't care if you want to play the game on Mars. I don't want to do it. No, thank you. No interest. I don't care at all. Jalen is the best. Jalen Hurts. Where is that? Jalen Hurts right now is playing the best quarterback in the NFL except for Mahomes. Why would you want to risk anything with that when you don't have to? Well, I want to play the best of the best. Okay. Yeah, you do that. Will Suh be a cancer in the locker room? Who came up with that? Who came up with that? That Suh's a cancer. Brady loved him. Tom Brady loved him in Tampa. He's not in Tampa because of money. Go Birds, thank you. Had everything to do with money and salary cap. And that's why they signed Akeem Hicks. Big Sills, great show. Thank you. John, I appreciate it. You being part of it. Suh with cancer. Suh's done things that make you go, Jesus, man, stepping on a guy's head. Kicking Rodgers. Great. Everyone hates that guy. Everyone hates that guy. Now that you know what kind of jackass Aaron Rodgers is, every time Suh played against him, he gave him cheap shots. Why do you think? He ain't the only guy that hates Aaron Rodgers. His own teammates hate him. You know how I wonder how many Packer guys, when they saw that on film, went, I get it. I get it. Remember how we all were like, how could Suh do that to Rodgers? Kick him like that. Then step on his leg. Well, I won't lie to you. I might do that shit too. There used to be another guy in the league. His name was Jim McMahon. Jim McMahon used to like chirp so much. And do you remember when that Packer guy picked him up and just body slammed him and almost broke his neck? Half the league was cheering. He's just chirps. McMahon just chirped. He just kept chirping. The guy's name was Charles. I forget. Picked his ass up and body slammed him. I watched it on film, and dude, there wasn't a guy in my room that didn't go, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Everyone looks now at Suh and goes, I get it. Ndamukong Suh's a jackass. No, maybe not. Right? Hey, I got another topic. It's about Jalen. It's a good one, and I'm gonna ask you if you subscribe for it. I'm gonna reset everything here. But man, what a sign. What a sign. And by the way, you know what you also now bring in with Ndamukong Suh here? You know what else you bring in? A little bit of a nastiness to it. There's not really a headhunter out there. I like that guy in my defense. A Jack Tatum. That Reggie White, maybe not Reggie, but Jerome or Seth. Hey, how about Andre Waters? I'm going to tell you about Andre. One of my favorite people of all time, lived in Tampa. You didn't roam across the middle of the field with that guy out there with Wes Hopkins and Andre. There was a tenacity about that secondary. Hey, as good as that gangrene D-line was, that secondary was scary too. And you had Seth rolling in the middle in there. Dude, man, there was tone setters all over that defense. You weren't going to run in the secondary. You weren't going to run in the secondary against Wes Hopkins and Andre Waters, man. Those guys would decleat you. Do you know how many times on film I watched those guys where wide receivers were coming across the middle and they alligator armed it because they didn't want to get popped in the head from Andre? He was like that Burfict guy back in the day. That linebacker that got thrown out of the league. Okay, he was like that kind of guy. Whew. He didn't give a shit, man. Leave his feet, knock you out. He wasn't looking to like dislodge you from the football. Andre Waters wanted to dislodge your helmet from your head. That's the kind of guy you want on your defense, man. It's always great to have guys. I love headhunters. Because you know why? There's the built-in fear of your defense. It's intimidating. The Eagle defense is not intimidating. That's not an intimidating defense. Shit, the Andy Reid defense was more intimidating than this thing. There's nothing intimidating about this. You can beat them. There's nothing awe-inspiring. That they don't get after you. They're not really like an angry group. That's because your coordinator's not. Your coordinator sets the tone. You see, when you play against the Eagle defense, it's like going out for tea. When you go and you play against a Buddy Ryan defense, you're going out for beers and shots. I want to play on the beer and shot team. When you go out and you're going out for lunch with Jonathan Gannon's group, you're going out for tea and crumpets. Is Is this how you do it too? You put the little thing up like this and you start drinking your tea. Here's Jonathan Gannon going over his game plan. Yeah, I think we can bring the blitzes at least 3 times a game. But I want to do it, when I want to do it. Remember, not in critical situations. Yeah, this guy's not even a dipper. I bet you $10 that guy doesn't dip his Oreos. Probably don't even screw them up. He probably breaks them in little pieces. Yeah. Anybody who breaks an Oreo in pieces, I'm out. You break your Oreo in pieces, I'm out. Okay, unless it got broke in the grocery store bag, and your Oreos got broken, I'll eat them that way. But if I watch a guy break Oreos, I'm out. He ain't my coordinator. Okay, no way. He's a dipper. He's the dipper. I'm dipping is all right, man. I'm a dipper too. He ain't a dipper. He's a cookie breaker. Breaks them up and breaks the cookies in little niblet pieces. He's a niblet guy. He's a nibble guy. I hate nibblers. He's a little nibble guy. Dude eats pizza with a fork. No freezer. He's the guy that sits down to pee. That's the kind of guy he is, and he breaks his cookies up and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Oh, man. I bite my lower lip on that guy. Do you think Gannon or Nick hears any of this? You don't hear it when you're 8-1. You hear it when you get run over. So they started hearing a little of it. And that's why your boy ran to Nick and to Howie. I need help. These guys suck. Okay. Sills, do you think this team is scary now? Yeah, it's Suh in there. Hey, Ruiz, let me ask you something. If you were a running back and you had a bear front going or a 50 front, one guy was 330 and Suh. The nose guard is Davis at 348. And the other DT is Fletcher at 330. I'm not good at math, but that's 660, 348. Okay? That's 1,000 pounds. Would you be scared? 3 guys are 1,000 pounds? Would you be a little nervous? In the middle, if you had to run in there and you're a little guy? Jesus, man, look at this. Holy cows. These are like the pillars of Gibraltar. Look at this thing. Sills, what's your favorite candy? My wife. I'm bouncing outside. Okay. That's why you're going to see your defensive ends get more productive, I'm thinking. Your DEs are going to benefit so much from this. And, dude, the young kid is going to benefit so much from Ndamukong Suh and Fletcher Cox. Okay? Oh, man, Bednarik Kornitsky. Give me concrete. I loved him. He used to come on my show in Tampa all the time. Man, Chuck Bednarik. I vote on that award too. Oh, my uncle loved him. Hall of Famer, Robustelli. Loved Chuck Bednarik. Loved him. Oh, man. Nitsky was good. I love Ray too. See, I got a chance to know all these when I was a young kid, I got a chance to know all these guys because they used to all go up to Robustelli's house in Stamford, Connecticut and see him. Gifford and all these guys. Bednarik could be in there for a New York something, whatever, get together. He was up for the Heisman, if you remember right. So he'd come in there. I got to meet Chuck. Dude, hey, what a character. Whew. Tough as nails. He goes, I played center and linebacker. I was like, that's what I played in high school. And he goes, good. I go, but my big question with Bednarik was always this. How'd you get into UPenn? He went like this. Look, no comment. I'm like, wait a minute. You went to UPenn? He goes, yeah. Hold on. Chuck Bednarik went to an Ivy League school? Yeah. Like, how'd you get in there? He goes, I don't know. They asked me to play, and I played. I said, so wait a minute. You're a University of Pennsylvania athlete. He goes, yeah. I'm like, he goes, stop asking. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, stop asking. Chuck Bednarik's an Ivy League guy. I have got a question for you on Jalen Hurts. Guys, I canceled my guest because I think this is important for us. I'm going to reset everything here. And I want to ask you a question on Jalen Hurts. This is a big week for him. And I'm going to tell you why. Hour number 3, please hit the like button. Keep